Welcome to Galactic Nova Stories, where cosmic emotions come to life. Your journey begins now. The Galactic Conclave had existed for 15 millennia, a coalition of advanced species that had long ago abandoned physical contact as primitive and dangerous. Commander Lear of the Etheri species stood on the bridge of her warship, the Eternal, dusk as it approached the blue-green planet. Her mission was simple: assess the newly discovered beings called humans and determine if they posed a threat to the established order. The Etheri, with their translucent skin and telepathic abilities, considered themselves the pinnacle of evolution. Lear's superiors had already determined humans were barely worth studying, a violent, emotionally unstable species, still bound to their physical forms and primitive technologies. "Commander, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from their orbital stations," her lieutenant reported. Lear's bioluminescent patterns flickered with annoyance. Primitive weapons systems, no doubt. Maintain distance but establish communication. When the human face appeared on the view screen, Lear was struck by its solid, opaque appearance, so unlike the crystalline features of her people. The human identified himself as Commander Wren of Earth's United Defense Force. "We welcome peaceful contact," Wren said, his expression open yet cautious. "But we've activated defensive protocols as a precaution." Laika noticed something her intelligence reports had failed to mention. Humans communicated not just through words, but through subtle facial movements and something called body language. It was inefficient, yet strangely nuanced. "Your species is new to interstellar awareness," Lear responded. "I represent the Galactic Conclave, which maintains order among civilized worlds." She observed the human's reaction carefully. According to protocol, she should maintain distance, collect data, and return with her assessment. The Conclave had already determined that humans, with their chaotic emotions and physical dependencies, would require careful management, perhaps even quarantine. "We've detected your scans of our planet," Wren said. "May I ask your intentions?" Lear's patterns pulsed with surprise. Their technology had detected her ship's passive scans, unexpected for such a young species. "Merely standard procedure," she replied. "The Conclave must understand new species before formal relations begin," an alert flashed across her console. Something had penetrated her ship's outer sensor field, a small craft approaching rapidly. "Commander," her lieutenant warned, "human. Vessel approaching. Defensive systems activated." Lear's bioluminescence flared with anger. "Explain this provocation, Commander Wren." The human's expression showed confusion. Genuine, Lear realized. "That's not one of ours, we're tracking it too." Before Lear could respond, the unknown craft exploded, sending an electromagnetic pulse toward her ship. The Eternal Dusk's systems flickered and failed as the bridge plunged into darkness. When emergency power restored minimal function, Lear saw her crew scattered and injured. The view screen showed Wren's face, concerned rather than triumphant. "Commander Lear," he called, "we're sending a rescue team. Your ship is critically damaged." Lear's training told her this must be a trick. No species would risk physical contact with unknown aliens. Yet as her ship's atmospheric systems began to fail, she realized she had no choice but to trust these unpredictable humans. The rescue pod docked with a metallic clang that reverberated through the failing systems of the Eternal Dusk. Lear's crystalline form pulsed with uncertainty as atmosphere hissed between the vessels. In 15,000 years of Conclave history, no member species had willingly exposed themselves to physical proximity with an unknown alien biology. Such risks were deemed irrational and primitive, yet here were humans, breaking quarantine protocol to save aliens they had just met. The airlock cycled open to reveal three suited figures. Their leader removed his helmet, exposing himself to whatever microscopic threats the Etheri might carry. "Commander Wren." Lear recognized him from their communication. "Your action is unexpected. You were in distress," he said simply, as if no further explanation was required. "We need to evacuate your injured quickly." The Etheri crew recoiled when the humans approached. Physical contact with other species was taboo in Conclave space. All interaction occurred through technology, or at a safe distance. "We cannot be touched," Lear explained. Our biosystems are incompatible with... An explosion rocked the ship, sending a support beam crashing down. Without hesitation, Ren dove forward, pushing an Etheri scientist out of its path. His gloved hand briefly contacted the alien's translucent skin. Silence fell as everyone froze. Such contact was unthinkable. The scientist's bioluminescent patterns flared in shock, but there was no negative reaction, no harm done. The simple act shattered millennia of conclave doctrine about interspecies contamination. "We have 20 minutes before your engine core destabilizes," Ren said, breaking the stunned silence. "Physical assistance or death. Those are our options." Lear's training warred with survival instinct. "Proceed," she finally ordered her crew. "Accept their aid." The evacuation proceeded with strange efficiency. The humans moved with practiced coordination, guiding injured Etheri to the rescue vessel. When a crew member couldn't walk, a human simply lifted them, more forbidden contact that somehow caused no harm. Inside the human vessel, Lear observed Ren directing his team. These creatures operated differently than any conclave species. They functioned through verbal commands, physical gestures, and unspoken understanding rather than the rigid hierarchies and protocols of her people. "Your ship can't be saved," Ren informed her as they detached from the dying Etheri vessel. "Whatever hit you was designed to target your specific technology." Lear's patterns dimmed with suspicion. "How convenient that you knew exactly when to arrive." Ren's expression showed no offense at her accusation. "We detected the approaching vessel and recognized it wasn't of Etheri design. We were already mobilizing when the attack occurred. And who would benefit from sabotaging this first contact?" Lear demanded. "Perhaps someone who fears what might happen if humans and the Conclave formed an alliance," Ren suggested. "Or someone who wants to trigger conflict between us." As they approached Earth, Lear gazed at the blue-green world. Conclave intelligence had dismissed humans as primitive because they remained bound to their homeworld, still dependent on its ecosystem. Now she wondered if there was something more to this connection. "You risked yourselves for us," she noted. "The Conclave would consider such behavior irrational." Ren smiled, another of those expressive facial movements. "Then perhaps the Conclave has forgotten something important about what makes sentient life worth preserving." The Earth orbital station Unity hummed with activity as dignitaries from 17 nations gathered for the unprecedented alien delegation. 3 days had passed since the rescue, and Lear had spent each moment observing human behavior with increasing fascination. Unlike the conclave species who communicated primarily through technology and maintained physical distance, humans touched constantly. Handshakes, embraces, casual contact while passing in corridors. Their communication relied as much on physical proximity as on words. It was chaotic, yet undeniably effective. "Your quarters are comfortable?" Ren asked as he guided her through a hydroponics section where plants grew in carefully maintained conditions. "They are adequate," Lear replied, her patterns rippling with interest as she observed humans tending to plants with their bare hands. "Though I find your species' need to simulate planetary conditions in space telling." "You mean inefficient?" Ren smiled. "The Conclave abandoned such attachments centuries ago. We synthesize all requirements." Ren plucked a small red fruit and offered it to her. "Some things can't be synthesized perfectly." Before Lear could respond, an aide approached with urgent news. The Conclave had dispatched a diplomatic envoy, demanding the immediate return of the Etheri crew and threatening consequences if humans had contaminated them with physical contact. In the station's conference room, Lear watched the transmission from the Conclave representative. The elongated insectoid features of Delegate Maz filled the screen, one of the Telusian species that had founded the Conclave and established its non-contact protocols. "Commander Lyre," Maz's mandibles clicked with disapproval, "your rescue by humans has created a diplomatic incident. You will transfer to our vessel immediately for decontamination." Lear noticed the humans exchanging glances, another form of silent communication she was beginning to recognize. "With respect, Delegate," she responded carefully. "The humans saved. My crew and protocol would have left us to die. Perhaps the Conclave's position on physical interaction requires reconsideration. Maz's compound eyes gleamed. Your judgment is compromised by exposure. The human's primitive emotional responses are affecting your rationality. Ambassador Chen, Earth's chief diplomat, stepped forward. The Aetheri are guests on our station, delegate. We will not force them to leave against their will. This is not a request, Maz replied coldly. Commander Lear possesses classified knowledge. Her continued proximity to humans threatens Conclave security. We have dispatched enforcement vessels. The transmission ended, leaving tense silence. They fear what we represent, Wren said quietly. A species that doesn't follow their rules. Lear's patterns darkened. The Conclave maintains order through strict protocols. Your disregard for established procedures threatens that order. Or perhaps challenges assumptions that have gone unquestioned for too long, Ambassador Chen suggested. Lear found herself at a crossroads. The Conclave had raised her, trained her, given her purpose. Yet these humans had saved her without hesitation, risking themselves for strangers. It defied Conclave logic, yet stirred something dormant within her. The Conclave will not risk war, she finally said, but they will isolate your planet, prevent your expansion, and eventually force compliance through economic and technological pressure. Unless, Wren asked, sensing her unspoken thought. Unless we prove the Conclave's fears unfounded, Lear replied. I need to understand why you act as you do, why you touch, why you risk yourselves, why you maintain such attachment to your physical forms and your homeworld. Ambassador Chen nodded thoughtfully. Then perhaps it's time you visited Earth's surface. Lear's patterns flashed with alarm. No Conclave species would willingly expose themselves to a planet's chaotic biosphere. Yet if she wanted answers, she would need to embrace the irrational, just as humans did. The shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, buffeted by air currents that made Lear's crystalline form vibrate uncomfortably. Beside her, Wren watched her reaction with interest. First time on a living planet? He asked. The Conclave abandoned. Planetary habitation 8,000 years ago, Lear explained, her patterns fluctuating with unease. Ecosystems are unpredictable, filled with biological contaminants and weather extremes. And beauty, Wren added, as the clouds parted to reveal a vast mountain range crowned with snow, valleys of green stretching toward a distant ocean. And life. The shuttle landed in a region Wren called New Zealand, selected for its isolation and diverse ecology. As the door opened, Lear braced herself for the assault of unfiltered planetary conditions. The first sensation was wind, invisible currents carrying scents of vegetation, soil, and water. Then sound, birds calling, leaves rustling, water flowing. Somewhere nearby, Lear stood transfixed at the shuttle's threshold, her sensory systems overwhelmed by the planet's chaotic symphony. It's too much, she whispered, patterns flickering rapidly. Wren extended his hand, another invitation to forbidden contact. Focus on one thing at a time. Start with this. After a moment's hesitation, Lear placed her crystalline appendage in his palm. The immediate sensory data was startling. His skin radiated heat, pulsed with blood flow, contained microscopic textures unique to his individual genetic code. You're warm, she observed with surprise. 37 degrees Celsius, he smiled. Optimal for our biology. They walked from the landing pad toward a small research station nestled against Forest Edge. With each step, Lear catalogued new sensations, soft earth yielding beneath her weight, humidity clinging to her outer membrane, sunlight refracting through her translucent form. The Conclave believes planetary dependence is a weakness, she said, as they reached a viewing platform overlooking a valley. That true advancement means transcending biological origins. Yet you still maintain biological forms, Wren noted. Why not upload yourselves into machines if physical existence is so limiting? The question struck Lear silent. It was true. Despite millennia of technological advancement, no Conclave species had abandoned their physical forms entirely. Connection, she finally said. Even separated by distance and protocol, we maintain our forms because consciousness requires embodiment. Ren nodded. Humans believe something similar. Our bodies aren't limitations, they're how we experience reality, how we connect. As evening approached, they sat watching the sunset paint the sky in colors Lear had never witnessed in space. Strange winged creatures, birds Ren called them, soared on air currents with seemingly impossible freedom. The Conclave sees your attachment to Earth as primitive, Lear admitted. But witnessing this planet made us who we are, Ren said. Not just biologically, but philosophically. We touch because we evolved as social primates who needed physical connection. We take risks because our ancestors survived by adaptation and creativity. We value individual lives because each human carries unique experiences and perspectives. A communication alert interrupted them. The Conclave enforcement vessels had entered the solar system, demanding Lear's immediate return and human compliance with isolation protocols. "They will never understand what I've seen here," Lear said, her patterns dimming. "Unless you show them," Ren suggested. Lear considered this impossibility. The Conclave's position had remained unchanged for thousands of years. What could possibly alter such entrenched ideology? "Something's coming," Ren suddenly said, looking skyward, as detection systems blared warnings. "And it's not the Conclave." The night sky erupted with distant flashes, visible even from Earth's surface. Energy weapons engaging in orbit. Ren's communication device buzzed with urgent reports from Unity Station. Unknown vessels attacking both human defenses and the approaching Conclave ships, he summarized for Lear. They're using technology that specifically targets Conclave systems. Lear's patterns pulsed with revelation. The same technology that disabled my ship. This is no coincidence. They rushed back to the shuttle, where tactical displays showed the EE battle unfolding in orbit. 3 wedge-shaped craft of unknown design were systematically disabling Conclave vessels while avoiding direct confrontation with human defenses. "We need to return to orbit," Lear insisted. "This attack pattern suggests intimate knowledge of Conclave weaknesses, knowledge only an insider would possess." As their shuttle ascended through the atmosphere, Ren received a transmission from Ambassador Chen. "The unknown vessels are broadcasting on all frequencies. They're claiming to be the true path, a splinter faction from within the Conclave itself." Lyre's patterns darkened with recognition. "The true path believes technological advancement has weakened the original Conclave species. They advocate returning to biological evolution and natural selection. They're using this first contact to provoke conflict," Ren realized. "If humans and the Conclave destroy each other, then neither philosophy prevails," Lear finished. "They create opportunity for their vision of the future." Unity Station came into view, its defense systems fully activated as it positioned itself between Earth and the attackers. The Conclave vessels, crippled by targeted energy pulses, drifted helplessly. "Incoming transmission," the shuttle's pilot announced. The view screen displayed a face that made Lear's patterns flare with shock. Another Etheri, but one whose crystalline form had been deliberately altered with biological components. "Delegate Vex," she whispered, "you were reported dead 3 cycles ago." "Transformation, not death," the altered Etheri replied. "The Conclave has stagnated, Lear. Our species were becoming mere caretakers of ancient protocols rather than living beings." "So you attack innocent vessels? Sabotage diplomatic contact?" Lear challenged. "We create necessary change," Vex responded. "Humans represent everything the Conclave fears. Biological dependence, emotional decision-making, physical interconnection. Neither philosophy can survive contact with the other. From the conflict, a new path will emerge." The transmission ended, as True Path vessels launched another barrage, this time targeting Unity Station's main power core. "They're trying to force us to engage," Ren said grimly. "If humans destroy Conclave ships in self-defense, it validates their beliefs about our violent nature." Lear studied the tactical display, noting how the True Path vessels positioned themselves between human and Conclave forces, deliberately creating crossfire situations. "We need to demonstrate cooperation instead of conflict," she said, "something neither the Conclave nor the True Path believes possible." Their shuttle docked with Unity Station amid chaos. Emergency protocols in effect, defense systems armed, and diplomatic channels filled with accusations from the damaged Conclave vessels. Ambassador Chen met them at the airlock. The Conclave delegate is demanding we destroy the TruePath vessels or be considered complicit in their attacks. And if we attack, we prove ourselves the aggressors they always believed us to be, Ren concluded. Lear's patterns shifted with determination. There is another option. The TruePath is exploiting the distance between our peoples, the Conclave's fear of contact and humanity's defensiveness. We must bridge that gap physically. How? Chen asked. A joint mission, Lear explained. Human and a theory together, boarding the lead TruePath vessel to disable their weapons rather than destroying them outright. Ren understood immediately. Showing both cooperation and restraint. It would require direct physical proximity, Lear added, something the Conclave considers taboo, but which I've learned can be our greatest strength. The tactical shuttle accelerated toward the lead TruePath vessel, carrying the most unlikely boarding party in galactic history. 4 humans in combat exoskeletons, alongside 3 Etheri in modified containment suits. Commander Lear stood beside Ren at the front viewport, watching their target grow larger. The Conclave representatives are still protesting this mission, one of Lear's crew noted, patterns flickering anxiously. Yet they provided tactical data on the TruePath vessel's design, Lear responded. Actions reveal truth more clearly than words. The shuttle's pilot executed a precise maneuver, matching velocity with the enemy ship while staying in its sensor blind spot. Years of Conclave intelligence on their own defectors proved invaluable for planning this approach. Boarding point in 30 seconds, the pilot announced. Their defensive systems remain focused on the station. Ren checked his weapon, a non-lethal pulse disruptor designed to incapacitate without killing. Remember, we're here to disable their weapons and communication systems, not to eliminate the crew. The TruePath needs to face proper justice, not martyrdom. The shuttle's magnetic clamps engaged against the TruePath vessel's hull with a dull thud. Cutting equipment deployed automatically, carving an entry point through the outer armor. Breach complete, the tactical officer reported. Atmosphere stable, but readings show unusual biological components integrated with the ship's systems. Lear's patterns pulsed with concern. The TruePath believes in merging biological and technological elements. Their ship may be partially alive. The boarding party entered through the breach, moving in practiced formation, humans taking point positions, while Etheri provided sensory and tactical support from the center. They had trained for merely 2 hours before deployment, yet moved with surprising coordination. The interior of the TruePath vessel confirmed Lear's warning. Technological components intertwined with organic matter, pulsing tissues connected to power conduits, neural tissues integrated with computer cores. The ship was a grotesque hybrid of machine and living organism. Life signs ahead, one of the Etheri whispered, patterns dimming to reduce visibility. Multiple TruePath operatives. They encountered the first resistance at a junction leading to the weapons control center. 3 altered Conclave species, whose bodies had been enhanced with mechanical components. Unlike the elegant integration that might have been achieved through careful engineering, these modifications appeared crude and painful. "Abominations!" one of them hissed upon seeing Lear alongside humans. "You prove our point. The Conclave has grown so weak it now allies with primitives." "We represent cooperation, not weakness," Lear responded, as Ren signaled the team to spread out. "The TruePath offers only destruction disguised as evolution." The altered beings attacked without further words, using biological weapons grown from their modified bodies. The human exoskeletons provided crucial protection as they returned fire with precision stun pulses. Working in coordinated pairs, 1 human, 1 Etheri, they systematically neutralized the threat. When the last TruePath operative fell unconscious, Ren approached one to examine the modifications more closely. "These weren't voluntary enhancements," he said grimly. "The surgical scars show resistance, restraints. They've been forcibly modified." Lear's patterns darkened with horror. "Vex is experimenting on his own people." They pressed forward to the central chamber, where sensor readings indicated the main weapon systems were located. The door was sealed with both technological locks and organic growths that pulsed with apparent sentience. "We need to bypass both systems simultaneously," Leah said, examining the barrier. Ren nodded, understanding the implication. Without a word, he removed his tactical glove and placed his bare hand against Leah's crystalline appendage. The direct, neural connection sent a shock through both their systems, but enabled the perfect synchronization needed to override the hybrid security measures. The door slid open to reveal a nightmare chamber. At its center stood Delegate Vex, his once crystalline form now grotesquely transformed. Biological components harvested from various species had been grafted onto his ethereal base, creating a monstrous amalgamation of flesh and crystal. "You're too late," Vex announced, his voice resonating from multiple modified vocal organs. "The final targeting sequence has begun. When our weapons fire, both human and conclave vessels will believe they were attacked by the other." Leia stepped forward, her pattern steady and resolved. "Your plan fails today, Vex. Not through violence, but through something the true path, never considered possible." Behind her, humans and Etheri moved as one toward the weapons control systems, their unlikely alliance the living refutation of everything the true path represented. Time compressed to a series of critical moments as the boarding team raced to disable the true path weapon systems. Vex had initiated a countdown, 3 minutes until automated firing protocols would trigger an attack pattern designed to appear as human aggression against conclave vessels. "The control systems are biomechanical," one of the Etheri technicians reported, patterns flickering with urgency. "Physical interfaces combined with neural connections. Neither our technology nor human tools can interface independently." Vex's distorted form pulsed with triumph, despite being restrained by 2 human soldiers. "As I planned, the systems require true path biology to control." Ren studied the grotesque console, a hybrid of technology and living tissue that seemed to breathe and pulse with its own rhythm. "Not true path biology specifically," he observed. "Just synchronized biological input from multiple species." Leah understood immediately. "Simultaneous connection, like we achieved at the door, but scaled up." Their eyes met across the chamber, a moment of perfect comprehension passing between species who had evolved on worlds light years apart. "It would require direct neural contact," Leah warned, "for all of us simultaneously. The Conclave forbids such connection for good reason, the risk of permanent neural entanglement, personality fragmentation." "Or unprecedented synergy," Ren countered. "Trust works both ways, Commander. 1 minute, 40 seconds remaining." The decision crystallized in Leah's consciousness. "Remove your gloves," she instructed the humans. "All Etheri prepare for direct contact protocol." Vex's malformed features contorted with disbelief. "You would risk permanent neural contamination? Sacrifice your purity of consciousness?" "We risk becoming more than we were," Leah replied, taking position at the primary console. "Evolution through cooperation rather than force." The humans and Etheri formed a circle around the control interface, each removing barriers between them. Gloves, containment fields, protective layers. As the countdown passed 1 minute, they joined hands and appendages in a circuit of flesh and crystal. The moment of connection transcended physical sensation. Human minds, emotional, intuitive, richly associative, merged with Etheri consciousness, precise, multidimensional, capable of abstract pattern recognition across multiple perceptual planes. Neither overwhelmed the other. Instead, they formed something entirely new. Through this unprecedented neural interface, they perceived the True Path weapon system as both machine and organism. The humans provided the emotional intelligence to understand its motivational architecture, while the Etheri contributed the technical precision to navigate its complex systems. Vex watched in mounting horror as the impossible collaboration produced results. "Stop them!" he commanded his few remaining conscious operatives. "The contamination cannot be allowed." But his followers hesitated, transfixed by the sight of the neural synergy unfolding before them, a demonstration of connection without domination, strength through voluntary vulnerability. With 7 seconds remaining, the boarding team succeeded in redirecting the weapon's targeting systems. When they fired, the energy pulses struck empty space, harmlessly dispersing against the backdrop of stars. As they disengaged from neural connection, both humans and Etheri reeled from the experience. They looked at each other with new understanding, each forever changed by glimpsing consciousness through the other's perception. "Arrest them all," Vex snarled at his operatives. "Execute the contaminants." To his shock, his followers removed their weapons and placed them on the ground. "We joined the true path seeking evolution," one said, her hybrid form trembling. "What we just witnessed represents true advancement, not through force or modification, but through willing connection." As Unity Station security forces breached the True Path vessel to secure the prisoners, Leah found herself standing beside Ren, both still processing the neural connection they had shared. "The Conclave will never accept what happened here," she said quietly. "Direct neural interface across species violates our most fundamental protocols," Ren smiled. "Then perhaps it's time for those protocols to evolve." 3 weeks after the True Path incident, representatives from 17 human nations and 7 Conclave species gathered in a specially constructed dome on Earth's surface. The location, a neutral island in what humans called the Pacific Ocean, had been chosen for its symbolic significance, a meeting point between worlds, between philosophies. Leah stood at the entrance, her crystalline form refracting sunlight into prismatic patterns across the floor. The neural connection experienced during the mission had left subtle changes in her consciousness. Occasional flashes of human-like intuition, emotional responses that would have been alien to her before. Ambassador Chen approached, extending a hand in the human greeting gesture. "The Conclave delegation has arrived in orbit. They're hesitant about planetfall." "As expected," Leah nodded, accepting the handshake without reservation. 15 millennia of isolation cannot be undone in 3 weeks. Inside the dome, human and Etheri crew members from the boarding mission mingled freely. The shared neural experience had created bonds that transcended cultural differences. They had become living proof of what was possible. A shuttle descended through the atmosphere, carrying the Conclave High Council representatives who had finally agreed to surface contact after days of negotiation. As the vessel landed and its doors opened, Leah recognized the tall insectoid form of Supreme Delegate Maz. The ancient Telusian paused at the threshold, compound eyes taking in the planetary environment with visible discomfort. Behind him, other Conclave representatives waited, equally hesitant. Ren stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth, Supreme Delegate. We understand this experience is challenging for you." Maz's mandibles clicked with agitation. 15,000 years of conclave. Protocols state that planetary environments are contamination risks, yet here you stand, breathing unfiltered atmosphere, touching alien life forms, willingly exposing yourselves to biological variables. "And thriving because of it," Leah added, her patterns forming the formal greeting configuration of the Etheri. "Supreme Delegate, what happened aboard the True Path vessel cannot be undone, nor should it be." The diplomatic summit commenced with careful formality, each side maintaining traditional distances initially. The Conclave representatives insisted on purification fields between themselves and humans, a concession Ambassador Chen had graciously allowed. As presentations began, Leah and the other Etheri, who had experienced neural connection, displayed recorded sensory data from the mission. The Conclave scientists watched with increasing fascination as evidence mounted, showing the unprecedented synergy achieved. "These neural patterns should be impossible," one Conclave researcher noted. "Human consciousness operates through electrochemical processes while Etheri consciousness utilizes crystalline resonance. They should be fundamentally incompatible." "Yet they harmonized," Ren responded. "Perhaps consciousness itself transcends its physical substrate." By the summit's 3rd day, barriers began falling, literally and figuratively. 2 younger Conclave delegates requested the removal of purification fields, curious to experience direct interaction. When no harm came to them, others gradually followed. On the final evening, Supreme Delegate Maz approached Leah as she stood watching the sunset over the ocean, a sight that still filled her with wonder. "Your reports were correct," the ancient Telusian acknowledged. "There is value in planetary experience that cannot be replicated in isolated environments. The conclave separated from physical worlds to achieve perfect order, Leah replied. But in doing so, we sacrificed growth. And humans embrace chaos to achieve growth, often sacrificing order, Maz observed. Perhaps both philosophies contain partial truths. As stars appeared in the darkening sky, humans and aliens gathered on the beach. Someone had built a fire, ancient, primal technology that nonetheless drew everyone into its circle of warmth and light. Ren found Leah at the water's edge, her crystalline form reflecting starlight and firelight in complex patterns. "The Conclave has proposed a revolutionary protocol," he said. "A permanent exchange program, humans training in Conclave space technologies, while Conclave species study Earth's ecosystems." "And neural interface research?" Leah asked. "Approved with significant safeguards," Ren smiled. "Your scientist Trell has already volunteered for the first official cross-species synchronization study." Leah's patterns formed the expression that humans had come to recognize as her version of a smile. The true path sought evolution through force. They never considered that true advancement might come through voluntary connection, through choice rather than coercion. Around the fire, humans were teaching conclave delegates a tradition called storytelling, narrative experiences shared through spoken language rather than direct data transfer. The aliens listened with growing fascination to tales of human history, mythology, and imagination. "They once feared your emotions would contaminate them," Leah observed. "Now they seek to understand them." Ren extended his hand, a gesture that had once represented forbidden contact, but now symbolized a new beginning. "That's what makes us human," he said, as Leah placed her crystalline appendage in his palm. "We've always been ready to burn everything, down with our passions, but we're equally capable of building something new from the ashes." The firelight caught the moment their hands joined, flesh and crystal, chaos and order, emotion and logic, finding harmony under a sky filled with stars that no longer represented isolation, but possibility.